is, you have, 430, 442, 320. There's.
And I'm finna get to that, right?
609, I'm coming down the driveway. You have Candace. The first calls for Summer. Right? I reached up on the driveway. I put down that purse.
That diaper bag.
This phone and this phone.
Oh shit, there's two phones. She got two phones, one for the plug and one for the load. Think she need two phones, one for the bitches and one for the. Think I need two. Jody, you got some explaining to do. Okay, so let's quarterback this thing. Donna Candace, they always said the baby went missing at 5:30, right, Jack? That's their contention, okay? Now, if you remember when Jody actually turned on the wells, that was when Candace made the mistake of walking the time back to 4:30. Whoa? 4:30, right? What was problematic with that whole 4:30 thing was this. Candace claimed that at 4:30, she came down the hill, and Jody was standing there to the left of their driveway. In between the end of the driveway and the dog trail. 4:30, she said that. Fucking remember she said that? Put a 1 in the chat if you remember that. So, that's what made Jody flip on Candace, was when Candace walked the fucking timeline back to 4:30. But let's quarterback this thing. Now, and I'm not going to go deep into it because Tiffany's going to go super fucking deep into it today. And I just so hope that she allows me to be a part. I mean, I know she will, but I really want her to kickstart that bike on her own and get the bitch rolling. But this is the thing. The NCMEC site and the site that's the TBI question and answers, they say Summer went missing at 6. Let's quarterback this thing forward a little bit and then backwards. And I'm not going to pay attention to the chat because I have to stare out into the continuum to get this thing right. So the dispatch call came in at 6:20ish. That's when the call went to the officers to head that way. How long do you think the call from the parents to the dispatch and then the dispatch to the police took? 2 to 3 minutes tops. So now you're at 5:57, right? Okay. Now the issue is that Jody wants everyone to think that Voldemort got there around 6:30. That's too early. She's trying to put Andy on the scene too early. Follow me. Now, if they called at 6, do you remember when you factor back the 3 minutes? Well, let's just call it 3 minutes. Factor back 3 minutes for the dispatch information to get moved. So that would have put it back around 5. So that would have put it back around 5:55. They called. Okay. Theoretically, if everything goes bang, 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 right? So 5:57. On the dispatch call, what they said was, Mom had went for a run, came back and looked for about 10 minutes and then called. So that puts it back to 5:40-ish, okay? Now, back and looked for about 10 minutes and then called. So that puts it back to 5:40-ish, okay? Now, the issue with that is you don't know how long the run was. That run could have been an hour. That run could have been 2 hours. That run could have been 15 minutes. My contention is that anywhere out there for her to go somewhere is going to be relatively 15 minutes out, a turnaround of 15 minutes back. So you're talking about generically 30 minutes. So if you're at 5:40, 5:30, with all of the jazz, with the run and came back and screamed. So let's put it back to 5:30, right? Okay. Now, remembering that the scream happened in the 4:30 to 4:42 bracketry, Candace claims to have went down the hill at 4:30. Why? Because 4:30 is the beginning initial portion of the 12-minute bracketry to hold where the scream happened, right? So Candace says she goes down there at 4:30. Now, when you factor in, you're back to about 5:30 with everything, okay? You're back to 5:30. It can't be 5:30 because they say the police pulled in at 7:04. She said Don, the police, and Andy all came in as a trio, okay? So all the lying Jody is doing is to put Voldemort on the scene at 6:30, and there's no way he could be there at 6:30, right? Let's assume that the run took 45 minutes, right? That's gonna put you back at 5:15. Let's say the run was an hour. That puts you at 5 o'clock. Now, with any fuck-off time, and we know these times are not precise other than the dispatch calls, right? This is the thing. Jody can't whip the dispatch times. She cannot. This is the issue. If Don gets there when Jody wants Don to get there, what happens? Don's there too early. If, and they did not. If Andy and Don both pulled in with the police at 6:30, what that means is that at a 40-minute trip from Jonesboro, or wherever he was at, Johnson City, whatever that was. I think I'm mixing Jonesboro, or I don't know, whatever. So he says he's got an hour drive to the dispatch. It only takes him 40 minutes. So in theory, he's bought 20 minutes of free time. Now, Andy at 6:09-ish was texting her saying, I'm about to go around the bend and lose service. Okay? 6:09. She says it's about a 20-minute drive. So he should have got there at 6:30. He did not. She does all of this lying to put Andy on the scene at 6:30. There was nobody fucking there at 6:30. They pulled in at 7:04 with the police. So what she keeps trying to do is to make Don and Voldemort early to the scene, but about 10 minutes too early. Oh yeah, because the fucking TBI bullshit says. Now this is the thing. If she called at 6 o'clock and it roughly takes 35 to 45 minute response time, then they were way behind, then the police were late too by Jody's mathematics. It would have took them over an hour. If the police got there at 7:04 and they called at 6 p.m. on the dot, that means it took the police an hour and 4 minutes to get there. It does not take an hour and 4 minutes to get there. So, to put Andy early on the scene, why? She keeps trying to put Andy on the scene early. Why? By about 30 minutes. She's trying to buy him 30 minutes. Why? Because they did not get there until 7:04, which is even more than 30 minutes. It's 34 minutes. You're getting on the edge of getting out of the bracketry right now. Let me play you something else that's gonna fucking trip you out.
Yes. If the scream holds.
She says, if the scream holds. Holds what? Holds up under scrutiny. If the scream holds. So the scream happens at 4:30 to 4:42, and Candace has already said that she saw Jody Sue at the bottom of her driveway to the left at around the 4:30 hour. How long had Jody already been on the ground before 4:30 around the scenario? Why is she trying to put Andy on the scene a half hour before he actually got there? Ain't nobody else fucking up the time they get there. Nobody. She's holding up for Andy. Square business. The two of them are still in cahoots. That's what that means. She's still making lies for Andy. Now, what do you mean if your scream holds? Because let me tell you what, the truth don't need to be held up to nothing. The truth, you could place it on something and tell it to stay there with nothing, and it will. It will stay there. So, for about 16, 17 months now, what Jody's been trying to rearrange is that 4:30 hour. I knew when Candace took it back to 4:30 too soon, there was an issue. And the issue was that Candace got confused because she came down the hill at least twice. She came down around the 4:30 hour and saw Jody down there. What the fuck was Jody doing there? Jody, what the fuck were you doing there at 4:30 at the bottom of her hill? Because you were all the way on their side until she moved the timeline back to 4:30. As soon as she did that, you came unwound on the world, baby. And Andy, He doesn't know any better. He's a fucking idiot. Andy knows no better. And he's like, yeah, babe, whatever you want me to do, you're the smarter of the two of us, allegedly. And I'm going to let you make all the decisions for me. I'm not going to say shit. Because we understand that even if I fuck off and I marry Becca, we're still in this thing together. In fact, we'll always be in this thing together. Hold on a minute.
If the spring holds, if my timeline holds, then that would be,
a fucking miracle.
4:30, 42 to 6:08. About an hour and a half difference.
There you go. About an hour and a half difference. Fucking right you are. If it holds. The hour and a half, in my opinion, gets picked up in two places. From the 4:30 to the 5:30 hour, because 5:30 is when Donna Candace claimed she went missing. So at the 4:30 hour to 5:30 hour, when she's spotted down below, that is 1 hour. And then you pick up the other 30 minutes later on, right? You pick up, Jody's early. Jody got to the party about an hour or two early down below. Andy got to the party a little bit too late, about a half hour late. So Jody's there too early and Andy gets there too late. And meanwhile, what they're trying to do is they're trying to tie Don's reemergence to the hill to a time of 6:30-ish that suits Jody's stool and Andy's stool. Yeah. And that's the issue. I'm thinking that's probably what makes both Voldemort and Jody Stool suspects, is the fact that that bitch probably told the police, oh yeah, probably bought themselves a half hour. Bitch, you bought yourself a half hour y'all ain't paid for. That ain't paid for. Y'all ain't working on paid for time. Hell no. Y'all are hoping that the fucking internet will adopt this 6:30 bullshit. But the problem is with the 6:30 bullshit, Don could not have left his job when he did. Don would have had to have already been en route before 6 o'clock to make it there at 6:30, because it's 40 minutes. It's an hour. He made it in 40 minutes, baby. This is the other thing. Don said he took all back roads. For fuck's sake, why? You sped and drove unsafe on back roads, gravel roads at that, when where you were working at, you could have jumped on the highway, came south, jumped down to 24 or 26, and then ran that motherfucker down a little southwest, and it jumped off and went west. I mean, you could have maybe made it there quicker by driving on paved roads. This is the thing. Even on paved roads with more traffic, if you were to be pulled over, I'm guessing you could have kept going, or you could have pulled over real quick and say, hey man, I just called my daughter and missing. I need to get home. Can you fucking chaperone me home at a high rate of speed so we could get there? No. So you almost could say that if TBI, the FBI, and Hawkins County are resting, they have the court has rested at 6 p.m. They didn't say approximately 6 or a little bit before 6 or a little bit after 6. They said that girl went missing at 6 fucking o'clock. So she went missing at 6 fucking o'clock. Dispatch comes in at 6:20-ish. What? 6:20-ish, Andy should have been there about 10 minutes after that. Andy should have pulled up around 6:30, 6:35, 6:40 is really pushing it, because it's a 20-minute clockwork drive from his job. Andy got there way too late. Andy got there 30 to 40 minutes late. So all of a sudden, a very clockwork drive, a very daily, everyday drive, now turns into what she coins as an everyday regular drive, except for no account as to why he's 30 or 35 minutes late. Because if he leaves 6:09-ish, because he already left, you got to remember, he had already left work late. Andy was super fucking late on the 15th. Andy was super late on the 15th. They've been working in tandem to try to make everybody believe that Andy got there on time. No, they did not. Now, what I'd like to know is, where did Andy serve himself lunch that day? Did he stay at the tire joint? Or did that motherfucker take off from the tire joint and go somewhere? And how long is his lunch? I mean, the motherfucker's swapping tires, so he ain't getting no hour lunch. We know that shit right now. 2 phones. Oh, we know you had at least 2 phones. My contention is that you probably had even more. You probably had a 3rd phone. You probably had a 3rd phone, because I don't think you would just readily keep Andy's other phone. You wouldn't just show Andy's phone to us while you're recording on a phone. You would show us the 2 phones you want us to believe are yours. Meanwhile, we know you had access to a device that has his shit. So, and what's really interesting about all of that is this, is that my contention isn't that you may have sent him text messages, because I firmly believe he was sending you real text messages back. But I believe you had another device that you could Facebook back and forth to yourself with. Whether it's a tablet, another phone, I don't know what. But your husband got there too fucking late. I don't care how you cut it. You can cut the sandwich triangle ways, this ways, long ways. No matter how you cut that motherfucker, Jack, it's still a sandwich. He got there too late. And you, with this if the stream holds shit, this was before the stream didn't hold. That stream did not hold up to scrutiny at all whatsoever. Andy claimed the next day, the 16th, he didn't go to work. What's funny about that is because Jody texts Andy and says, I'm gonna go up to the church. I just can't stand the idea of a mama bear having to search for her children alone, her child, her children alone. Why the fuck would you have to text him to tell him that if he was at home? You wouldn't. You could just scream across the crib and say, hey, abuser, hey, monster, I'm finna go help Candace, you dumb motherfucker, you late arriving, early lying bitch, you. I'm finna go up to the church and help Candace. Maybe they had like an in-home silent treatment going on where she's still just gonna text him to tell him she's leaving even though he's fucking right there. Where was Andy on the 16th? Because he's supposed to have stayed home from work. But meanwhile, you texting that fool like he ain't there. Motherfucker, for what? If she was in a radiation cabin. I don't believe that at all. Hell no. She do all that goddamn walking on the 15th, but when it comes to the 16th, she ain't gonna walk her radiated ass 50 feet to the fucking house and say, hey, stupid, I'm gonna leave. She didn't do no parts of that shit, did she? She did 0 fucking parts of that. No, Jody. Hell no, because you could have sent one of them fucking Cabbage Patch Kids up there to tell that fool too. But now what you did was you texted him. I don't think Andy was home that day. I don't think he was home. I think he slipped out. What did he slip out for? I don't know. It's all speculative.
If the spring holds, if my timeline holds, then that would be, 4:30 to 6:08. About an hour and a half difference.
Goddamn right it was an hour and a half difference, but it wasn't all at the same time. It was an hour here and a half hour in the back. Bitch, I rest my state case. I rest my case. If the scream holds, if the scream holds, if the timeline holds, it didn't hold, bitch. Hell no, your wig didn't hold, baby. Your motherfucking wig slipped and your eyelashes coming off, baby. Y'all lying. Both of y'all lying. You and Andy both lying. He's not a fucking time traveler. That fool can't even keep a job. You trying to tell me he got some fucking time machine, Miss Wonka, with your lying ass? That's what you trying to say? No, that ain't what happened. No, not at all, baby. Can't happen that way. It would never happen that way, Jody. So my contention is, why the fuck does Candace say Jody is at the bottom of the hill in the beginning portion of the scream bracket? Now, remembering that the scream is a lie. There's 3 different accounts of that fucking scream. You got Jody's account. It wasn't shrill and animalistic at all. Then you got Boogie's account. It was shrill and animalistic. Then you had Chattanooga's account. She said it sounded like summer. Why the fuck the three of y'all couldn't knock your heads together and come up with the same shit? Hell yeah. Why y'all couldn't get the stream together? Because you and Andy lying like a motherfucker about this half hour, baby. Y'all lying like a bitch about this half hour. But can't get the stream dynamic right. Motherfucker for what?